So good evening. Thank you everyone for joining us today on this fourth session. Vanakkam on the human values. And today topic is Dharma, as Arunji mentioned it on the last session. So I will give the floor to Arunji, please. Thank you.
Okay, so we say a big thank you to Kalacharam for organizing these talks. So Kalacharam basically is a very, I would call it a public utility. You know, it's really they're doing a great service to the public in Geneva. They're teaching courses in English, French, Tamil, even lessons in music, dance, everything. And it's such a great thing to have that in Geneva, because it helps people unite and bring people together when they are learning these things. So it's nice thing. So great effort. Damayanti is putting in a lot of effort in communicating and bringing people together. So great big seva she's doing, but she's also doing dharma, duty towards the country and towards the people. So
just would like to thank also my committee members. So I'm not alone. So we are a group of 13 people in the committee, and we work together, and whatever we can do to the community, we will do. So thank you so much, Arundi, for bringing us this topic. Thank you.
Yeah, so dharma. So basically, when we use the word dharma, that's a Sanskrit word, and it's difficult to translate that into English, because English would not justify the real meaning of dharma. Dharma is, righteousness, right conduct, duty. So several meanings, and it applies in different aspects of your life. So we have been talking about human values. We talked about the 5 human values. That was the very first presentation. We talked about the values, and these values we said were in Sanskrit Satya, Dharma, Shanti, Prem, and Ahimsa. So which is love, truth, righteousness, peace, and non-violence. We talked about that, but here today we will emphasize more on dharma, righteousness. So as I said, righteousness, right conduct, duty. So I think best is I just talk as dharma, one word. Basically, we said 5 human values, but they're all interconnected. You cannot have just one by itself. You cannot have truth and forget everything else. So they're all the values are interconnected, because love in words and thoughts is truth. Love in action is righteousness. Love in feelings is peace. And love in understanding is non-violence. So you see, they're all interconnected. So let's take an example of the body. The body is all interconnected with what we do. So let's say you are in your garden and you see an apple on the tree, and you say, oh, the thought first comes, no, first the eyes see the apple, but it just waves and they go to the brain. So the brain analyzes it and says, oh, there's an apple and I want to eat that apple. So what do I do? Then the brain will send instructions to the legs. So the legs then will do its work and go towards the tree. The hand will do its work and pluck the apple. And then the hand will bring the apple to your mouth. The teeth will take a bite and the teeth will start chewing. And then the throat and everything will process it, bring it to the stomach. So when the apple goes into the stomach, well, to start with, your tongue is satisfied, and then it goes to your stomach and it gets digested. And you see, that way, everything is combined. Every limb in your body is doing its own work. Now, you can't ask the eyes to do the work of the ear, because the dharma of the eye is to see, and dharma of the ear is to listen. The dharma of the legs is to walk. So everyone is doing its own dharma. And you see how beautiful everything takes place, because you wanted to eat an apple, you could eat an apple, because everybody, everything did its own action. Now suppose that if the hands do not do their action, no apple. If the legs do not do their work, no apple. So here the action is doing, the right action is doing your duty. So the eyes are doing their own duty, the ears doing their own duty, legs doing their own duty. So everything is doing its own duty. When we talk about righteousness, we see that righteousness is part of the human being. You are a human being because of your righteousness, because of your human values. So like if you take ice, if it is not cold, it is not ice. If you take fire, if it is not hot, then it is not fire. You see, each one has its own qualities. So when the qualities are right, that describes it. So heat will describe the fire, the coldness will describe the ice. So we have to be aware of that. But what about a human being? What describes a human being? Human being is the human with the human values. And these values, as we talked earlier, the 5 values that we should be aware of. And this is what defines a proper human being. Um, but knowing these values is one thing, but then putting them into our lives is the most essential part of it. So we take uh, the question that we ask, we take on that question: what are we? Who am I? And that's the eternal question. So a little funny story. There was this guru sitting and meditating, and people would just come to him. And then an important officer in the government, he comes and he sees there are, people there, and he's very angry that why are these people just sitting? Ordinary people are sitting there, and I am somebody, and I should be sitting in front. I should be going in front, and you local people stay behind. And so he pushes everybody. So everybody, I mean, nobody wants to let him go, and people are looking at him and says, yes, why? And he says, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? They said, no. And they said, sir, but he says, I'm very important. He goes, oh, sir, that's very nice. You know what you are. So you don't need to go to the guru. We do not know who we are. And that is why we have come to the guru, so that the guru can help us find out who we are. What is our true sense? But if you know who you are, then it is very good. So a funny, if it's humorous in one way, but quite often, we associate ourselves to ourselves as a position, name, whatever place we have in society. But actually, is that what we are? We are the human values. We are beings, eternal beings. When it takes a long time to realize this, and as we said, if we put these values into practice, this is when we find out who we are, and we get to that, we raise ourselves spiritually. So right conduct is one, or dharma is one big topic subject, but you have subtopics which are also part of dharma. And these could be, there are several of them, like modesty, self-reliance, cleanliness, good behavior, helpfulness, courage, dependability, duty, efficiency, ingenuity, initiative, perseverance, punctuality, resourcefulness, responsibility, respect for all, sacrifice, simplicity, correct use of resources, gratitude, unity of thoughts, words, and action, and correct use of time, and control of the mind. So these are all part of the righteousness. So we here we can look at dharma as several parts of Dharma, because Dharma is rather complicated. So there is first the Dharma to the self, you know, to yourself. You have to do Dharma to yourself first before. It's like, when you are taking a flight in the plane, they announce that um, if you have children, first put on your oxygen mask and then help your child. Why? Because if you are not protected yourself, and then if you're not well enough, you cannot help another person. So you cannot help your child until unless you are feeling well. So it says first put on your oxygen mask, then you help others. So that is where we come to Swadharma. That is a very delicate situation, because there we have to keep in mind that Swadharma should not kind of go to a higher level of just being high ego. So keep that in mind. So Swadharma, and part of Swadharma is having good satsang, good company. Satsang means being in good company, like what we are now, that we are all together in good company, understanding each other, and have that same interest towards bettering ourselves, knowing our Dharma. So that is good company. Keeping good company is very important, because that comes under part of your Swadharma, Dharma to yourself. Then we have Dharma to the family. So you have great duty to your family. So as we said, if you are a mother, then you have the duty of a mother to your children. If you are a father, you have your own duty, own dharma towards your children. So all that is very, very well specified in our culture. And you have also dharma to the profession that you have. If you are a teacher, then you have the dharma of a teacher. If you are a student, then you have the dharma of a student. If you are a soldier, you have a dharma of the soldier. So that way, all that is very, very well specified. If it's like when you start your job, you have a job description. So this is your job description, that I'm a teacher, so I'm supposed to be doing this. And if I'm a teacher, as a teacher, I have to correct the children. I should not say, well, no, the child will feel bad if I correct the child. No, then you're not doing your dharma. Your dharma as a teacher should be to train the child well. And your dharma as a soldier, as we know, as we've read, all of us, that when Arjuna was saying, no, I cannot do anything, I cannot harm, I cannot go into the battle, and then Krishna says, Arjuna, watch out, you are a soldier and you have to do the duty of a soldier. Your duty of a soldier is to fight, so you have to fight. So that way, it's very, very well specified. So that's a duty um, towards your profession, or towards what you are as a person. But you also have dharma to the country, because we live in this country, so we have this duty towards the country. But that we can also go into the duty or dharma towards your parents as a child, or whatever age you have. It's your duty towards your parents, so that is important. But dharma to the country, so which includes paying your taxes. You have your dharma towards the country by making sure that things are clean, you don't pollute, because that's your dharma towards the world, that you don't pollute, and use the resources wisely. So it's all, as we said, dharma is very delicate, finding yourself, and which means that any action that we take, we have to stop and think that, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing my dharma? So like your child is something doing wrong, and you do not correct your child, and then say, hang on, am i am I not failing my duty towards my child? Because as a parent, you have to guide even if the children are not happy, but you have to guide them properly. And then even if they are unhappy, you say, no, I have to do my duty. Then after the children are adults, then okay, then they are left on their own. Then they follow their own intuition. But as a parent, we have to guide them. That we find is very important. And also, I would like to share another story that about when we talked about Swadharma. Swadharma also we'd seen one of the sub values is the correct use of time, unity of thoughts, words, and deed. And here, a funny story. There was once a sadhu and his student. They were going and they need to cross the river, and they are wondering how to cross the river. And a man comes there, and man says, look, I don't have a boat, but I can swim, and what I can do is I can put you on my back and help you cross the river where the river is shallow. So the guru says, yes, okay. So he puts first the student on his back, he crosses and puts the student down. He comes back on the other side, puts the guru on his shoulders, and he crosses on the other side. Then he says, strange. So the student says, why strange? He says, well, I am a sinner. I have done so many bad things in life, but when I carried you, I still had your load and a load on my mind. And then when I carried the guru, my mind had become very light. And after I put the guru down, my weight came back in my mind. And that is because I'm a sinner. So that he tells that to the guru. And then the guru and his students, they go away. And then one day, the student had to go to that same village. And then after a couple of days, the student comes back. And then 5 years later, they go back to that same village. And then the guru inquires, there was a man over there. He used to carry people across the river. And they said, oh, you mean Mahesh the sinner? And the guru is a bit shocked and he said, yes. Well, yeah, he lives at the end. Then they go into the market and they said, have you seen that guy, Mahesh, who carries, oh, Mahesh the sinner. And everybody in town knew him as Mahesh the sinner. And then they meet Mahesh the sinner. And then they ask, the sinner bows down to the guru and said, thank you very much. Due to your grace, I feel so much lighter. My head was always very heavy, but now I feel that all my sins have been washed away, and now I feel much lighter. And then the student is surprised, and the student says, how come his sins have disappeared? And the guru says, thanks to you. When you went into the town, when I was not with you, you told everybody that this guy was a sinner. So what you did was you distributed his sins amongst all the people, and his sins have been wiped off in the meantime. So let us keep that in mind, that, the last time, I think Vijay Bhai had corrected me about this story that when we speak, we have to filter through, is it correct? Is it any of any use? So when we spread the story, is it necessary? Is it the truth? The guy said he's a sinner, but how can we judge? It's not for us to judge whether he's a sinner or not. So by spreading these, we reduced his sins and took the sins on ourselves. And that is something very interesting. That is part of the Dharma to yourself, that don't take unnecessary sins of other people by spreading their stories. And we know that there are people who kind of, I've got a juicy story and I need to spread it immediately, call them, oh, did you hear? But let us not forget, we are spreading sin. We are taking on the sin of that other person. So let us try as much as possible to be alert in our minds that let me not spread anything bad. Try and see always the good side of a person. And you can talk about good side. Last time I had mentioned that, if I tell you that such and such person is bad, you will believe me immediately. You will not even stop to think for a second that. But if I tell you that person is good, then you say, yeah, maybe. I don't know why he's saying that. You will not question if I say something bad, but you'll question if I say something good. That is because we've been trained in our minds. But you see, once all the animals got together, and then animals were saying that, they had that United Nations or United Animals Assembly, and they're talking about people, and they said human beings, they are not superior to us to us animals, because when he sees sharp, then he says he's got the eyes of a hawk. If he's good memory, he says, oh, he's got a memory of an elephant. So they always compare to animals. And so human beings is decided they are no longer, they pretend to be superior to animals, but they are not superior to animals. And then the Lion King speaks. He said, yes, I agree to all what you've said. But the one faculty that the human beings have is this, that animals will always follow what their ancestors were doing. So lions, they will kill for their food. Um, Giraffes, or you take elephants, they follow that same path. They will eat the same food what their ancestors were doing. So, and their habits always remain the same, and they cannot change. But human beings have got this unique faculty of changing. That even if they were sinners before, but once they decide that I have to improve myself, they can make an effort and they can improve themselves, which the animals cannot do, but human beings can do it. And this is where we come from, as I mentioned previously, that putting into practice these human values, being aware of these human values and how important they are, and how they can help us change ourselves. It reminds me of another story. There was um, a place where all the monks lived, and there was constantly fighting, misunderstandings. This is not right, that is not right, and backbiting, and this one is not good, that one is not good, this like that, and all the time they were going like that. And the head of that place was very unhappy that why why is this happening. It had been so nice if we all lived together peacefully, understandingly, and with love, because we are all dedicated to worshiping as monks do. And why has this crept in? And then so he says, okay, what I will do is that I will go uh, to the top of the mountain where that very wise saint lives, and I will discuss with him. And so he goes to see the saint. And then after about a month, he comes back, and everybody is curious. What did the saint say? What did he say? We need to find out. What did he say? How can we bring that peace and love in the? He says, oh, the saint did not say much. All he said was this: that in his meditation, God has said that he will come into the monastery as one of the monks. So, but unfortunately, the saint could not ask in which form God will come. And so then at that point, the monk suddenly realized that, oh my God, oh my God. Now, God is here in who? This one, Tom, or is that John, or is that Joseph? Which one is God? Which one? You can't recognize. So maybe he's God, so I better be nice to him, and I'll be nice and polite and loving to John. Oh, but maybe it is Joseph. I'll be nice and polite to Joseph. And so what happened was, they did not know which one was the God. So then they were polite and friendly and loving to all of them, to each other. And suddenly the whole monastery was changed. Everybody was very friendly, loving, and kind, and the whole atmosphere changed. So at this point, we have to ask that do we need somebody to tell us that there is divinity in each human being, and to be aware of our own divinity and then divinity of the other person? Do we need anyone to remind us? If we are told once, it should be sufficient, but we forget. And then we start judging. And again, coming back to satsang, coming back to swadharma, dharma of yours towards yourself, we start judging that, look, this person is always nice and friendly, and I think he's got divinity in this. But that person, no, 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 no. He's always fighting, and he's always, in a bad mood. And no, no, no. God cannot exist in that person. Or look at this guy, he's so poor. I when he comes into my house, I cannot serve him in good plates and good cups and all that. He's poor. So, and same thing, okay, we are going to do Narayan Seva, we are going to serve food to the needy people, but I'm, now this basmati rice is expensive, but I will buy this cheap rice to serve. They don't know the difference. I will buy the cheap rice, to offer to them, because they are poor, so God cannot exist in their body. So you see how we start judging, and we forget at that point, what are we and what is the other person. So God is present in each human being, but we don't need to use the word God. We just use the word divinity. The divinity is present in all of us, and we have to be aware of this and treat everybody with that same kind of love. It's as if, the divine form is coming to your house. So talk with that much respect, that much love. Um, and so coming back to what I just said about being able to convert ourselves, to be able to change ourselves, I have a little story about that, because this dharma also refers to purity, patience, and perseverance. Is on the one of the sub values that I'd mentioned. So these were contrary to the birds, or similar to the monks. This is a story about birds, and these birds were always unhappy, and they were always fighting with each other. And then one wise old bird said, "Oh, if only we had this somorg, a special bird which has got which is all golden. If we can have that bird come and live with us, it would be so beautiful, and life would be so beautiful, and we would all be able to live in peace." And so they said, okay, how can other people said, no, that's just a story. That's not true. But then the old man said, no, it is true. Here, he had a feather, and said, here is the golden feather. And look at this. This is golden, and that belongs to that special bird, and we can find that bird. So all the birds agreed, okay, let us go and find the bird. But they said the only thing is that we need to cross 7 oceans in order to find that bird. And said 7 oceans. So some people right from the beginning said, too much of an effort. We don't want to go. Then the remaining of the bird, they said, okay, we will all go. And then they fly, and they start flying. So some people went north, some people went south, some people went east, west. So they all went in different directions. But one group of birds, they stayed together, and they continued and they continued. And then after some point, some birds got tired and said, no, we don't want to go. We're too tired. We've been flying for a long time. And then as they were going, they reached the ocean. And then the wise bird says, If you want to have pearls, you have to dive deep into the water to get the real pearls. And so the birds dive deep into the water, they come out, they reach the second ocean, and they come out third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. And after crossing the seventh ocean, they reach a land and they start looking for the golden bird. But there is no golden bird. And then there were only mirrors there. So the wise bird said, take a look at the mirror and see yourself. And then when they looked at themselves, they found that they had become that Sumurg, the Swarnamurg, the golden bird. They had become the golden bird because of the effort they put in. They finally became the golden bird themselves. So there, link to the story about the animals, that yes, the human beings can become divine. They can change themselves. They can become better people. So this is a story about crossing the seven oceans, which means that even we can make ourselves aware of our true inherent divinity through right action, through right conduct, through doing your duty. And the interesting thing about our culture is this, that we do not have that direct concept of heaven and hell. We have this guiding principle of karma. So it just means that, we are all sitting in a school, and if I work hard, if I make an effort, I will pass my exams and I will move forward. There are lots of teachers, there are lots of guides who can help me move forward. Yes, we move forward. But if I don't want to make the effort, then I remain in the same class always. And that karma, the theory of karma, is helpful in bringing that awareness that I make my life better. So there is no judge, there's no one to condemn you. You are your own self, responsible for advancing yourself, for improving yourself. So when we do that, what happens is that you know any action we do, we should just stop for a moment and say, am I doing the right action? Treating people, treating neighbors, doesn't matter. People can do what they want. I mean, if everybody is doing wrong, do you also do wrong? No. They can do what they want. I do what I want. I do what I think is right action. And that helps me, because on this journey, I'd mentioned this the last time, on this journey, I'm alone. Fine, I have my family with me, but then we are born alone, we die alone. So, and my advancement does not depend on others. My advancement depends upon myself. And that is important, because that's the only way that we can move forward. As the animal said, we can improve ourselves by uh, by practicing these human values, and finding our true nature within. There was this stories, a couple of stories similar to each other, because in the African culture they call it Ubuntu. And Ubuntu, what they say that there was a story that they're told that here all the children line up and we have a competition. You all run and get to the end of the running lane, and the person who comes the first will get this huge basket of fruits. And so what happens is, um, suddenly all the children, they hold hands and they all start running together. And the judges were all surprised, and they all reached at the same time to the tree, to the end of that running lane. And they said, why did you do this? Because one of you would have obtained this huge basket of fruits. And they said Ubuntu. And Ubuntu really means that I am, because of who we are all. Because how can you be happy when your brother is unhappy? And so they said, if I win this huge basket of fruits, my brother who did not win will be unhappy. So will I be happy looking at my brother who is unhappy? So Ubuntu, we all hold hands together and we all win. And we've seen these similar story about handicapped children, that all the handicapped children were having a competition and they were all running, and then one child falls down, and then everybody stops, and then one child picks up the fallen child, and they all hold hands, and they all reach the finishing line, and then everybody in the audience, they stood up and they clapped. So this is something that we have to ask ourselves, that how are we doing in real life? Do we take a moment to think about our actions? Do we want to be the top at all costs, or do we want that everybody be happy? Because as you've heard, many people at the end of their lives, they wish for many things. But now we're still young enough to be able to correct ourselves, to move in the right direction, and work towards that dharma, the right action for ourselves, for society. And when we talk about swadharma, we also talk towards ourselves, is that eating the right food, because we know that certain kind of junk food is bad for our health. And by being aware of what we are eating and what we are acting, that also is dharma. So it it's a very, very delicate situation, and it demands a lot of thinking and a lot of planning. But it's just like this thing, once you start that wheel, then it becomes easy. It's an everyday thing. It's just like walking. When you were a child, when we were children, we could not walk, and then slowly the mother held our hand and taught us how to walk, and then we can walk easily. So same thing, it's just putting ourselves into the action, into putting our thoughts on the subject, and then everything just comes naturally and normally. And we are very lucky that we now are well connected over here, but with the internet, we can do a lot of research, and we can find all the good stuff that is available for us to learn as teachers. We don't really need to go, if we have time, of course, on this, to go and live on top of the Himalayas and obtain the knowledge. That we can still be lead our own life and continue progressing slowly in that right direction. So that kind of more or less summarizes what I want to say. So let me just quickly take a look. Values to become a better human being, putting into practice, and who are we? What are we? Our true nature. And Ubuntu, we talked about, and all the different kinds of dharma, the swadharma to yourself, to the country, to your profession, to your family. We talked about satsang, good company, but by satsang we also meant in, the food that we intake. But when we say intake, by intake, we also mean intake for the eyes, for the ears, for the brain. So try and move away from people who disturb you, disturb your mind, or in the computer. If you're on the internet, there's a lot of garbage. There's a lot of garbage, but we stay away from these websites, which can be disturbing, because that also is food for thought, food that we consume, that we consume with our eyes, with our ears, with our mind. So being part of that swadharma also includes all those things. So this is something, an extension of our understanding of all that. So it's 6:40, so we'd agreed that we would stop around that time. and then give time for people to comment, to give questions. So please unmute your mic and you can or share an experience.
Arun, I have a comment.
Yes, please.
Okay. Like maybe we all need to start wearing the Sai Ram name on our forehead. They
Yes.
will treat everybody exactly same. Because I, I want to tell you a story. This really happened. That my son-in-law used to work in Memphis downtown. He was on the fifth floor,
Yeah.
and one day they asked me to come to do some research. So after finishing my work, I was coming down in the elevator. On the fourth floor, one gentleman came in, and as soon as he came in, I saw the rotary pin on his lapel. And that I'm a Rotarian, so I started talking to him. And we continued talking, we came down all fourth floor, and then in the lobby, we talked for about 10 minutes. And then, he left, and then my son-in-law turned to me and said, "Do you know him?" And I said, "No, I really don't know him. I just met him for the first time." He said, "How come you started talking to him?"
Mm-hmm.
Because I see him every day, but I never talked to him. So I told him because I saw the rotary pin and I just started talking to him. The same way, if we wear, the rotary Sairam, on your forehead, it will help, it will treat everybody exactly same. Because when we go to Puttaparthi, we don't know anybody, but all of a sudden, we are brothers and sisters.
Yes, yes.
We don't
Satsang.
differentiate there.
Exactly, exactly. But at this point, I would just like to make add a little comment that
No.
despite all this, we should still be alert and be careful, because unfortunately there are people out there who misuse the name of
Oh, yeah, yeah.
of Rotary or Sai or whatever. So yes, we have that love, but we have to be also, God has given this power of discrimination. So we have to be alert about this thing and say, okay, let me be careful. And then once you experience that brotherliness and that, then you can go all out, because you see, we are not all at the same level of evolution, so spiritual evolution. So unfortunately, some people forget their dharma, and they feel that, okay, yeah, I mean, if I do this to this person, he will fall, and then I can step on him and rise. So that is a word of caution, despite having everything what I said. But again, that is part of your dharma, of having that faculty of awareness, having the faculty of discrimination.
I agree. Yeah.
I just have one comment, Arunji,
Yeah.
that when you do our dharma and duty, if we do with the love, it's like a special, like icing on cake, is more sweeter. So when we do any duty, we should have in mind not for sake of doing the duty, but just add that lovingness in it. So when you serve somebody, or you anything you do, any action you do, when you add that extra love, that become more sweeter, and the person who is giving and person who is receiving, they both feel it. So anything dharma or duty, when you do add that little, that special love, and that have total sweeter result altogether. Sairam.
Beautiful, very beautiful. Yes, yes, very important, very important. Any other comments, questions?
I have a question, for this Kalacharam, the organization.
Yes,
Who are your students?
Damayanti.
Yes, Kalacharam, it's not based on Indian culture. It's for any culture. We are promoting languages and culture. So we have students like Indian, Sri Lankan, Swiss, Mauritian, and also Malaysian. So it's a mixed cultures are there. So we really want to support all cultures and bring their culture, promote their cultures in Switzerland, in Geneva.
That's very nice.
Thank you.
I have a comment and a question. The comment is that the stories of birds and animals describing human behavior are very nice. I have been listening to them since I was young. Now, most of the religions, most of the philosophies are directed towards human behavior. Everything is looking at it from a global point of view is very selfish in the sense that everything is directed to human beings. Now, the question comes, I'm not a good speaker like Arun, and is there anything in Dharma or Bible anywhere what humans' Dharma is with respect to animals, nature, and I consider my very sick earth. And the earth is becoming sicker, not because of animals or plants, it's because of us, our greed, our what in our Hinduism is called I-ness. Now, is there anything in our Dharma, any duties with respect to saving the earth, let's say? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. Maybe Brigitte, would you like to answer that one? Because Brigitte, she lives in Israel and she's very much into all about nature and all that is related to ecology and everything. So I don't know, Brigitte.
Can I add something?
Okay, yes. Shivakumar can add, and then Brigitte you can answer. Yes.
Yeah,
Shivakumar.
you know, when he mentioned about earth, it was about a few months ago, I wrote a flyer called Bhumata. Bhumata is the Mother Earth. You know, we have to really take care of the earth because it is Mother Earth. Just like our mothers gave us a birth and took care of us, similarly, Mother Earth takes care of everything. The trees, the animals, us, everybody. So since the last 100 years, especially in India, since many decades, we have not been taking care of the earth, and a lot of land degradation is happening. That is very unfortunate, because if we really recognize the earth as Mother Earth, Bhumata, then really everybody should take care of the earth. So our ancestors have done that. Many centuries ago, they really used to take care of Bhumata. And really, we really have to take care of Bhumata so that this will never ever happen. Land degradation, what is happening in India, should be stopped. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. And also we do many of these like Havan or Homam, as some people call it, Yagya. We do that's a fire sacrifice. So all that is for the atmosphere, because when you burn ghee, it helps the ozone layer. So all that is being done that used to be done regularly by our ancestors. It has become much less now, but it is there. It is there in our scriptures, our duty. And that is when I said Dharma to country, but by Dharma to country, I also meant Dharma to the atmosphere, to the pollution. So you will make sure that, like at least in Switzerland, we are aware of this, and we at least sort out all our garbage and as well as green things. So we do that. But Brigitte, would you like to add something to this, please?
Thank you, Arun. I enjoyed very much your talk and also the comment that was just done by Sir Manava Shivakumar. It's exactly that. I think that the notion of putting a ceiling on our desires is very meaningful. When we know that our civilization in the West, at least, has been developing all those desires and wants to consume more and to buy things and then to throw them away, there is a big change that can be done if we just become more aware of what we really need, what are our real needs, and not our desires. And also, you know, I was brought up personally in Belgium and France in a Catholic environment. And it was a problem because in the three monotheistic religions, we were told that God is somewhere there upon the skies and we are here. And we actually didn't relate to the earth, to Mother Earth. On the other hand, now that I'm trying to deepen my knowledge in Hindu philosophy, I enjoy very much the concept that we are one. I mean, that God, nature, and man are one. And it is very beautifully explained in the Hindu scriptures. So for us, the Westerners, it's usually more difficult to comprehend that. But for all of you who know better Hindu philosophy, it is a great help to have that concept that divinity is in every cell, in every atom. And that might help us have more respect for our Mother Earth and for all the resources that she gives us so generously. Because as Mahatma Gandhi said, there is enough for everyone's need, but not enough for anyone's greed.
Yeah, just now Rama said the same thing. The
Yes.
earth has enough for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed.
Oh,
yes, please
perfect.
continue.
Yes, I didn't hear that. Thank you.
No, please continue. So she's also responsible at a European level for this human values, and part of it is, you know, nature and ecology, and you know, making sure that we continue planting trees and all that.
Right. And especially as you stressed, to put the importance on our human values, the human values that are inside of us, just eliciting them again and having that harmony between the things we believe in, the things we think, the things we say, of course, we feel and we do. Like reattuning ourselves like a musical instrument so that we behave the same way in accordance, in harmony with the things we believe in. And if we do so, we all want to protect our Mother Earth. We all want to be in harmony with her. We do not want to see what we have been seeing lately. And we know that according again to that deep philosophy, pollution outside is the reflection of pollution inside, like again, our greed, our desires. This is what has caused the imbalance in Mother Earth and resulting, as we all know, in calamities and pandemics like we are all been suffering from these last years. So now I think that that crisis can be understood as a golden opportunity to review our values and to review, especially, even we have excellent values, the way we act. Are we really in tune with those values? Each time we buy something we don't really need, but we just feel like buying, you know? Because we should, if we reduce our desires, these will bring back more harmony and balance between, again, divinity, Mother Earth, and man, the animal, of course, more compassion towards the animals and towards Mother Nature. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I think what Brigitte said is very relevant. All religions, our education system, research is directed. If you're doing research for forests or animals, it is for us. It's always towards human beings. It's never the other way around. So that we learn something. There are all the things to learn. We have got everything to learn. We don't need any more old type of gurus. Our new gurus are the climatologists, the ecologists, the environmentalists who tell us, let's save the world for us again. We will do anything about climate warming only if it benefits us, not if it benefits the earth. So everything with relation to Mother Earth we are doing is opposite of what should be done. Now, my question comes back, where in Hindu philosophy or Christianity or Torah or Bible, is there anything that guides us? We need a guru, a different type of guru to save the earth. Again, if we save the earth, we'll be saving ourselves. But my thinking, I've been writing about it, is that human beings is ingenuity and intelligence. It does not come from any god. With evolution, we have evolved. We have dominated the animals. We have dominated the forest. We have dominated the earth. And no religions has stopped us from domination. We are the masters. In fact, often I think I am the God, because God has, according to the many books, especially Indian philosophy, he has no shape, he has no abode, he's everywhere. And according to the Bible, human being has been created in the image of God. If God does not have an image, we should not have any image. We should not have any form unless we are the God. So this is my thinking. Our new gurus, we need new types of, they are there, but we don't want to follow them. They're climatologists. They want the young people who are thinking on those lines without knowing any religion. There's a new trend, as Brigida said, we have to change ourselves. And how our religion will change us, I do not know, but I doubt if it will. They all are designed to psychologically and otherwise improve our performance, our goodness or badness. Religions are made for that. Thank you.
Yeah, no, very, very nice, very valid point you've made. And this is what I meant by Dharma, part of that Dharma towards the family. So, if I have children, then I have to also be alert. And through what you were saying is that is new gurus that be alert that, I have to do something for my children and their children. So I have to leave the earth in a better situation than it was before. So being aware of that. I think Avila wants to say something. She's raised your hand.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. This is, first of all, thank you very much for your very enlightening and really very interesting talk. That was very, very good. Now, coming to the question which has been raised by Najinder and the response by Brigitte, I also share the preoccupations as regards nature, Mother Nature, ecology, and all that. But just my, what shall I say, my contribution, which is very, very small. It's small, but at the same time, I believe we have moved away from, I believe all civilizations, be it in Asia, India, or in Africa, or in Latin America, or in the North America, or in Australia, the ancient civilization, they respected nature and they lived really in harmony with nature. And then came, development, civilization, and we moved away completely from that relationship with Mother Nature, or with, our place in the midst of all this. That's why you see that even the holy places, be it the hills or the rivers, which people venerated, were all polluted or, I don't know, exploited to get minerals, to do all these kind of things. And yet people were saying, do not touch that hill. That's very important to us, you know? So I don't know, where we are today. We need to kind of revise the way we are progressing and see, you know, there was a lot of meaning in the way people lived before. It was not all useless, you know. But I don't know. I don't have any response to give to dear Najinder, but I share your feelings and your preoccupation about ecology. And I always ask myself, today, in 2021, what can I do to recuperate that, you know? Because that was, in my opinion, the right way to live in harmony, you know? And also what Brigitte has said regarding the ceiling on desires, I think that is also a very important way to go. And finally, as regards the young generation, I think there is a lot of hope, because I see that the young people are very, well, what shall I say, conservative in the way that at least my children and their friends, they wear the same clothes, they go to secondhand shops to buy their clothes. And, you know, they are very conservative in the way they don't want to just consume, like maybe the previous generation was inclined to do. So there is hope, but I think we also have to do a lot of work. That's just my small contribution, but I really agree with all that has been said this evening. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Avilo. That's very nice. But I'd just like to raise or highlight the point that Rama is from Zurich. So Rama is saying in Hinduism, people worship nature, sun, moon, planets, trees, snakes, cows, etc. Nature is respected and nature is venerated. So that reminds me that, you know, like we have, I don't know about the other parts of India, but at least in Gujarat, we have a very special day for snakes, where we respect snakes and we give milk. So we call it Nag Panchami. And then we have a special day where cows are respected. And so mainly just the women, they will not eat anything related to cows, kind of, you know, no milk or no butter or no yogurt. And on that day, cows are worshipped. So that way, you know, and similarly other things also. So keeping us in mind. And even if you look at the pictures of gods and goddesses, you know, you have all the birds, you have the swan for Saraswati, you have the tiger for Durga, you have the lion. So you have all those symbols to remind us to have that respect for the animal world as well. And also we have this special day where the women will go and they will do special worship to the plants. So that's also one day of the year when that happens. So many such things have been ingrained into our culture, religion, to make us aware of the importance of this thing. And as Rama says, you know, respect for the sun. So we do Surya Namaskar and also pray to the sun or to the moon. Special fasting is done. So that awareness is there. Unfortunately, maybe the new generation might not be as aware as the previous generation.
I think there's a problem in the thinking there. Amilo has mentioned about that we respected nature more before, or we worship snakes, but the number of snakes is decreasing. Very soon, you will not have any snakes left. Now, the practical issue is, since human being lit the first fire, human beings continue to conquer nature.
Yes, yes.
Human nature versus nature. And we have conquered nature. We have justified this conquest through religions and many other things. So when Mrs. Amilo mentioned that old civilizations were better than us, No, the mentality was the same, conquest of nature. And that's what we've been doing. We continue to do it. We have not stopped. So something has to be done. No, something is being done. I think at the level of the churches and the religions and temples, this mentality has to change.
It has to change, yes.
Worshipping is fine. That's again for self-satisfaction, is again I-ness, is for me, not to save the snake or the cow.
No, but the purpose of these prayers was to bring that awareness of the animal, but unfortunately, it is lost.
Mm-hmm. You see, before, the animals, until now, they live what nature tells them to do. They
Yes.
don't resist nature. If the climate goes, animals die. But humans resist. They find ways of resisting nature. And that's what we have got. Buildings, roads, everything for our comfort. Nothing for the snakes or the lions or the elephants. And we are trying to save them, few that are left. We are on a very destructive, continue to be destructive. Before we were less because we had fewer means of destroying. We were consuming less, now we consume more. And to consume more, we must steal from nature. There is no way. If you go into economics, that's what happened. Raj Patel, he wrote a written book about this aspect, economics and nature. We are stealing from nature all the time. It's a stealing, genuine, pure stealing. Big industries, big groups, they're doing that. Now, old Dharma that Arun has been talking about is absolutely great for personal psychology, improvement, how to behave well, and relationships with other human beings, and not the relationship with animals. Sorry to be talking too much. Well, thank you very much, Arun. It was wonderful.
Thank
Can
you.
I just make one comment?
Yes.
Mahatma Gandhi, at one time, he said, the earth provides enough to satisfy every man's need, but not for every man's greed. That's the problem. That one man knows he can get exactly what he needs. But if he wants more and more, that is greed. So that leads to environmental degradation. That is why Mahatma Gandhi said, this is a very serious global issue, and the man must be determined as to, he should know what he can get, and he should follow Dharma.
Yeah, excellent. And
Yeah.
Pramilaji has just made a point. She's saying evolutionary forces operate and we can regulate our human behavior by not taking environmental resources from future generations. So this is what we were saying as part of the Dharma. And so the whole point of these human values talks is to raise awareness within ourselves. And the moment we continue being aware of that, we will start taking care of everything, including plants, animals, and everything, the atmosphere, family, and other human beings. So Mukundan is saying, Matrubhumi Putroham Pritriya. Earth is my mother, I'm her son. That's part of the Atharva Veda. So again, yeah, very nice, Mukundan. But so the whole purpose is to raise that awareness. And, as we saw last time, we cannot change the world, but what we can do is we can change ourselves. And through our actions, through our behavior, we hope that people learn and get influenced by our behavior. So
Yeah, I would like to thank Bridget Madam, Avilo Madam, and Naginda Sir.
and
Vijay
Shivakumar
sir.
also.
Yeah, Sivakumar Uncle. Thank you very much for your interaction and your questions, comments, but it helps a lot. So thank you so much for your support and participation today. Thank you very much for joining from Israel also. It's night for you, but thank you so much. It's a very good interactive session today. So Arunji, you want to say, we got some comments, but we will keep it for next time, or what? How do you?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
will.
Yeah. No, I read out most of them.
Okay.
And some of them were just thank you. And Sandhya ji is from the UK, so she has also joined, and she also enjoyed the study circle, and the points that were made.
Yeah.
Sai is here, so he also said nice. So basically that was it. And so when do we meet next?
28th of March, so in 2 weeks of time. Yeah. So the next subject, this will be the fourth value, right?
Yes.
Next section.
But
So
don't forget to change the time, because it will be summertime. The 28th, I mean, end of the March.
oh yes, that's true.
1 hour ahead.
Yeah.
So we'll be sleeping 1 hour less, if we put it that way, we remember.
Yeah.
Yes.
set the clock Saturday night, and so we'll talk, because we've talked on the first talk was mainly human values in general. Then we talked of truth, no, first love, and then last time it was truth, and this time it was on Dharma. So next time we'll talk on peace, and then followed by non-violence. So in non-violence, Uncle Nagendra will be talking about non-violence to everything, including animals and including the atmosphere. So next time we will be talking about peace. So may peace be with all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very much.
Arun bhai.
thank you.
Thank
I look
you.
forward
Have
to
a good
seeing you all
evening.
soon.
Thank you.